The year 1948, a year forever etched in the memory of every Lebanese, a year that brought the echoes of a distant tragedy crashing onto our shores. The birth of Israel, a nation carved out of Palestine, heralded a catastrophe for the Arab world. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were driven from their homes, their land lost in the fires of war. They came in droves, these weary travelers, their faces etched with loss, their hearts heavy with the pain of displacement. They sought refuge in Lebanon, a small nation already grappling with its own internal complexities. Lebanon, a land known for its hospitality, opened its arms to the Palestinian refugees. We shared our bread, our homes, and our lives with these strangers who were bound to us by the shared language of loss. Little did we know then that this act of compassion, this gesture of Arab solidarity, would irrevocably alter the destiny of our nation. The arrival of the Palestinians was not merely a demographic shift. It was a seismic event that would reshape Lebanon's political and social landscape. The children who had once played in the streets of their own towns now found themselves in makeshift schools, learning under the open sky. Over time, the Palestinians began to integrate into Lebanese society, contributing to the economy, culture, and social fabric of the nation. They brought with them their rich traditions, their skills, and their resilience, enriching the cultural tapestry of Lebanon. Yet, this integration was not without its challenges. Political tensions simmered, and the presence of the refugees became a focal point of national debate. The question of identity, belonging, and the right to return became central themes in the political discourse of the time. Despite the hardships, the bond between the Lebanese and Palestinians grew stronger, forged in the crucible of shared adversity. The story of the Palestinian exodus is not just a tale of loss and displacement. It is also a story of resilience, solidarity, and the enduring human spirit. Today, as we look back on those tumultuous times, we remember the lessons learned and the bonds formed, and we continue to strive for a future where peace and justice prevail for all. The Palestinians who arrived in Lebanon were not simply refugees seeking temporary shelter. They were a people with a rich history and culture, suddenly uprooted from their homeland. They were a people violently dispossessed, carrying with them the trauma of their expulsion. The memories of their homes, their lands, and their lives left behind haunted them. They lived in sprawling camps, grim reminders of their lost homeland, their hopes and dreams hanging by a thread. These camps, initially meant to be temporary, became permanent fixtures in the Lebanese landscape. Life in the camps was harsh, marked by poverty, overcrowding, and a pervasive sense of despair. Basic necessities were often scarce, and the infrastructure was inadequate to support the growing population. Lebanon, already struggling with its own internal divisions, found it difficult to absorb this massive influx of refugees. The country's resources were stretched thin, and the arrival of the Palestinians added to the existing strain. The Palestinian presence exacerbated existing tensions between different religious and political factions within Lebanon. The delicate balance of power was disrupted, leading to increased friction and conflict. The fragile peace that held the Lebanese mosaic together began to crumble, paving the way for future conflicts. The Lebanese Civil War, which erupted in 1975, was a direct consequence of these mounting tensions. Despite the hardships, the Palestinians clung to their identity and their dream of return. Cultural events, traditional dress, and the preservation of their language and customs became acts of resistance and resilience. Their presence in Lebanon was a constant reminder of the unresolved Palestinian question, a festering wound in the Arab psyche. Protests and political movements kept the issue alive, both within Lebanon and across the Arab world. And as time went on, their struggle for liberation would become increasingly intertwined with the fate of Lebanon itself. The Palestinian cause and the Lebanese conflicts became inextricably linked, shaping the region's history and future. The 1960s witnessed the rise of Palestinian nationalism and the emergence of the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, as a major force in the region. Lebanon, with its large Palestinian refugee population and its proximity to Israel, became a key base for the PLO. The organization established training camps in the south, launching cross-border raids into Israel. Israel, in turn, retaliated with increasing ferocity, striking Palestinian targets within Lebanon. The Lebanese people, caught in the crossfire, paid a heavy price for this conflict. The cycle of violence escalated, further destabilizing the country and deepening the divisions within Lebanese society. The presence of the PLO in Lebanon was a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it gave a voice to the voiceless, providing the Palestinians with a platform to fight for their rights. On the other hand, it dragged Lebanon deeper into the Arab-Israeli conflict, turning the country into a battleground for a war that was not its own. Section 4. Lebanon in Flames. The Civil War, 1975 to 1982. This period marked one of the darkest chapters in Lebanon's history, a time when the nation was engulfed in chaos and destruction. The year 1975 marked the descent of Lebanon into the abyss. The outbreak of the war was sudden, but the tensions had been simmering for years, a result of deep-seated political, religious, and social divisions. The Lebanese Civil War, a multifaceted conflict fueled by internal divisions and external interference, erupted, engulfing the nation in a maelstrom of violence. The complexity of the war was staggering, with shifting alliances and a multitude of factions, each with their own agendas. What began as a clash between the Lebanese government and Palestinian militias quickly escalated into a brutal free-for-all, with various factions vying for power. The initial conflict spiraled out of control, drawing in different sectarian groups, militias, and foreign powers. The war was a tragedy of epic proportions. It wasn't just the physical destruction that was catastrophic, but the emotional and psychological toll on the Lebanese people was immense. Beirut, once known as the Paris of the Middle East, was reduced to rubble. The city's vibrant culture and cosmopolitan charm were obliterated, leaving behind a landscape of ruins and despair. The streets, once vibrant with life, became battlefields, stained with the blood of innocent civilians. The daily lives of ordinary people were disrupted, and survival became a day-to-day struggle. The war shattered the delicate social fabric of Lebanon, pitting neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend. Communities that had coexisted peacefully for generations were torn apart by suspicion and hatred. The Lebanese civil war was more than just an internal conflict. It was a proxy war, fueled by regional and international powers. The involvement of these external actors added layers of complexity and prolonged the conflict. Syria, Israel, the United States, and others all intervened in the conflict, pursuing their own strategic interests and adding fuel to the fire. Each of these powers had their own stakes in the outcome, further complicating the path to peace. The Lebanese people, trapped in this web of intrigue, became pawns in a larger geopolitical game. Their lives were upended, their futures uncertain, as they navigated the treacherous waters of a war that seemed to have no end in sight. The resilience and endurance of the Lebanese people during this period is a testament to their strength and spirit, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. Section 5. Invasion Israel's assault in 1982. In June 1982, Israel launched a full-scale invasion of Lebanon, dubbed Operation Peace for Galilee. The Israeli army swept through southern Lebanon, claiming to target PLO bases. However, the invasion resulted in widespread destruction and heavy civilian casualties. Beirut, the capital, was besieged for months, subjected to relentless bombardment. The Israeli invasion of 1982 was a turning point in the Lebanese conflict. It marked a new level of brutality, leaving an indelible scar on the Lebanese psyche. The horrors of that summer, the terror of the bombs, the stench of death, and the sight of shattered bodies are memories that continue to haunt us. The invasion also led to the massacre of hundreds of Palestinian refugees in the Sabra and Shatila camps, a horrific crime that shocked the world. The massacre, perpetrated by Lebanese Christian militias allied with Israel, exposed the dark underbelly of the conflict and the human cost of unchecked violence.